I suspected, but I hoped I was wrong. Susie and I had been together in marriage for 7 years, raising 2 sons who were 4 and 6. I held a well-paying position in upper management at a tech firm. Susie wanted to continue her career too, and I fully supported that. We both looked forward to one day retiring in comfort and enjoying the sweet life together. She worked in a small company's accounting department. Each morning, we'd head out at the same time, alternating days to drop the boys off at preschool and daycare. We kept in touch throughout the day with text messages, and I usually picked the kids up in the afternoon. By the time I got home, she would already be in the kitchen preparing dinner. Our evenings were a familiar routine. Dinner, some playtime with the kids, a bit of TV, bedtime for the boys, and then our own personal time together. We were intimate 3 times during the week and even more often on weekends. Neither of us had ever voiced any issues. About 3 months ago, Susie mentioned that a new coworker had joined her office, a married woman with 2 sons the same age as ours. They hit off quickly. Before long, our family started socializing, weekend barbecues and playdates. But I couldn't stand either of them. And the coworker smoked constantly and ordered her husband around like he was a servant. He obeyed meekly, like someone used to being belittled. At one point, she snapped at him for spilling his beer, and he apologized like a child being scolded. The man clearly drank a lot, and she clearly wore the pants. 2 weekends ago, we visited them again. Susie and Ann were in the kitchen making snacks. The kids were glued to a Disney movie, and Paul, Ann's husband, and I were out back with a few beers. I was still sipping my first one, while Paul had already opened his third. From the way he was slurring, he definitely started drinking long before we arrived. Then, out of nowhere, he turned to me and said, "I never would have guessed. You always seemed like the tough, manly type. Guess anyone could be one, huh?" I blinked. "Be what? What are you talking about?" He leaned in, still slurring. "Come on, man. You let your wife go out with, and every week. You really believe they're just out having girl talk till midnight." Now, to give some background, Susie had started going out every Wednesday evening about 2 months earlier with her female coworkers. At first, she'd get home by 8 p.m. or so, saying they had a couple of drinks and dinner. But over time, her return got later, sometimes as late as 11:30. One particular night, she said they lost track of time discussing an issue at work. She took a shower before bed, claiming the smell of Ann's smoke stuck to her hair. That night, she said she was too exhausted, so we just cuddled and slept. The pattern became regular. She always came back late on Wednesdays, always showered, and always used the same excuse, smoke in her hair. But last Wednesday, I checked her clothes. They did smell like cigarettes. But something didn't sit right. Her panties weren't in the laundry basket. I found them hanging damp over the shower rail. She'd hand-washed them. Why? That's why Paul's earlier comment hit me so hard. "You actually think our wives are cheating on those nights out?" I asked him. He snorted. "No, I know they are." He let out a loud burp and continued. "About a year ago, I noticed a hickey on Ann's chest and a bruise on her side. I didn't put those there. I asked her straight out, and she admitted one of her black bulls got rough. I asked, 'Then why are you still with her? Why not leave?' He just looked at me and said, 'Same reason you'll stay with Susie when she finally comes clean. We live in a no-fault state. Whether I leave or she does, she still walks away with alimony, child support, the house, everything. I'd end up in a dumpy apartment eating cat food. That's why I'm still with her. What about your relationship? Do you still have intimacy with her knowing she's being unfaithful?' 'Oh, absolutely,' he responded without hesitation. 'That's just part of the arrangement now. She wants it. I give it to her, even after her little outings. I think she actually enjoys watching me degrade myself like that.' I stared at him, baffled. 'How can she force you into that?' He sighed. 'Simple. If I don't give her what she wants, when she wants it, she'll file for divorce. And then it's over for me.' Remember what I said? Cat food diet. 'How often is she going out?' I asked, already dreading the answer. 'Couple times a week,' he said casually. 'Well, Susie only goes out once a week with her.' I told him, try to convince myself everything was still under control. 'Yeah, for now,' he replied grimly. 'That's how it begins. Soon enough, she'll be out for baby showers or wedding parties. The excuses will sound innocent. but she'll be out till 2 or 3 a.m. Then suddenly she'll be too tired, have a headache, or claim it's that time of the month. Watch. You'll see. Before I could respond, the women walked onto the deck, ending the conversation. A couple of hours later, we were back home. Susie jumped right into mom mode, entertaining the boys, while I retreated to my man cave, pretending to work but mostly try and clear my head. That night, it was me who claimed exhaustion and didn't initiate anything. I wasn't about to play the fool. I'm not one to just wait and see like Paul suggested. Wednesday came, and Susie texted me around 6 p.m., saying she was heading out with her work friends again and might be home late. I fed the boys, got them into bed, and after flipping through some boring TV shows, I finished some work and then sat in the living room to wait. It was 12:15 a.m. when I heard her key in the lock. As she stepped into the living room, I flipped the light on. She visibly jumped. "Damn, Jack, you scared me. What are you still doing up?" "I stayed up to welcome you home from the Mandingo Club. Did you manage to hook up with a bull tonight?" I asked bluntly. "Jack, what are you suggesting?" "That I'm cheating?" she asked, feigning shock. "We just had dinner and a long conversation." "Save it." I cut her off. "You know what I do for a living. I know exactly where you were and what you were up to. Tech is a beautiful thing." Then she smirked. That cruel, smug smirk. The one that told me everything I needed to know. "So what?" she said coldly. "There's nothing you can do about it. If I want to sample every black banana in the city, you'll just have to deal with it. We live in a no-fault state. Divorce me, and I'll walk away with the kids, alimony, child support at the house. You'll be lucky to see your sons once a month. I'll even move one of my bulls in here to help out, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. You'll be alone in a crummy apartment, living off canned tuna." She gave a sarcastic shrug. "It's probably just a phase, anyway. A fantasy I'm indulging for a while. Maybe a year or two, maybe longer. Then we could go back to our life plan. Now I'm going to shower. You better be in bed when I get there. You know I like to be held." Her words felt too well-rehearsed. I had a gut feeling and it helped her prepare that little speech. Still, I didn't argue. I turned off the light and headed upstairs. She didn't kiss or touch me that night, but I did spoon her. No sloppy seconds. No lingering reminders. Just silence. The next morning, everything appeared normal. I went along with it. I didn't want to shake up our son's world more than it already would be in the weeks to come. Before she left for work, Susie casually mentioned she'd be attending a baby shower with, and on Saturday night. I gave her a knowing smirk. "You were never a great liar, Susie. If I have to stomach you sleeping with a bunch of black guys, at least have the decency to be honest." She paused, then admitted, "One of N's black friends is throwing a party. I've been invited. I'll be home around 3 a.m. There. That wasn't so hard, was it?" I said calmly. "Jack, I love you. I always will," she told me. "This is just something, a phase. A fantasy." "Susie, I've had my share of fantasies over the years, too," I replied. "But I never stepped outside our marriage to fulfill them. What you're doing, it's not just breaking our vows. You're betraying me and our kids. The law may force me to live with it, but that doesn't change what it is. I think you better change your attitude. Things could get a lot worse for you," she replied. "I'm trying, Jack," she added softly. "This is just new to me. I need some time, but I'm adjusting bit by bit." "I see," I said calmly. "See you later." She walked out of the house wearing a smile, probably convinced I was slowly falling into the role she wanted from me. A submissive, obedient cuckold. She had no idea how wrong she was. That afternoon, I left work early and stopped by her favorite lingerie shop at the mall. When she came home, I went out of my way to pamper her, ran her a warm bath, then laid the new lingerie out on the bed like a surprise. She was delighted. I played it up, helped her get dressed piece by piece, complimented her as she posed around the room like a runway model. I told her I loved her, told her we could get through this together. She practically jumped on me, kissing me all over before dropping to her knees and giving me an unforgettable BJ. That night, we ended things after the 4th round. I think I have enough recorded footage now to edit down a solid 20-minute video of just her, my face blurred out, of course. Saturday evening arrived, and I silently watched as she got ready for her party. She looked stunning. She was definitely going to turn heads. I recorded the entire process of her dressing. That footage might prove useful later, too. As in honked from the driveway, Susie blew me a kiss from across the room and yelled, "Don't wait up," before practically skipping out the door. The boys were already asleep, so I headed straight to my man cave. I had some serious tasks to handle. It was nearly 5 a.m. when I heard her clumsily making her way upstairs. "Jack, come help me, please," she slurred loudly. "Sure, baby. Rough night?" I asked, meeting her at the stairs. "There were 8 bulls," she mumbled, and I were the only women there. "Keep your voice down, Susie," I said firmly. "The boys are still sleeping." She was obviously wasted, and I suspected more than alcohol was involved. Her behavior was erratic, too wired. Likely something like Molly or ecstasy. She wouldn't stop rambling. Eventually, I managed to get her up the stairs and undressed. That's when I saw them. Hickeys on both sides of her neck and upper chest. She noticed me staring. "They marked me," she said with a drunken smile. "So you'd know what I've been doing." I told them you already knew, but they marked me anyway. "Look," she let her skirt drop to the floor, revealing something written in black ink above her shaved area. "Black Banana Woman," followed by 8 different sets of initials. Then she turned around, revealing her lower back. Someone had written Jamal was here with an arrow pointing down. "Kind of thrilling, don't you think?" she asked with a dazed giggle. I didn't answer. "Where are your bra and panties?" I asked. "They kept them. Trophies," she said. I made her sit on the toilet until I was sure everything that needed to come out had passed. Then I helped her into the shower. I didn't trust her balance. I took off my boxers and stepped in with her. I bathed her carefully, using the detachable shower head to rinse both front and back. When a stream of water hit her swollen, overused area, she moaned and wrapped her arms around me. "I love you, Jack," she whispered. "You always take care of me. I'm still really sore, but maybe I can give you a BJ?" Before I could respond, she was already on her knees. And like always, it was incredible. I'll admit, I'm going to miss that part. When we were done, I dried her off gently, guided her to bed, and let her sleep. The next morning, I made pancakes for the boys and told them, "Mommy's not feeling well." It wasn't until 2 p.m. that she wandered into the kitchen, looking like a wreck. She was starving, so I made her some food, poured her juice, and watched as she listened half-heartedly to the boys' chatter for about 10 minutes before declaring she was heading back to bed. That was fine with me. As soon as the boys put on a movie, I went straight to my workspace and finalized negotiations with Mr. Mugabe. He had placed the winning bid. Did you know that over 250,000 girls and women vanish every year just in the United States? And you probably haven't heard that there are still 6 African countries where slavery is alive and well, with active slave markets. The Democratic Republic of Congo is one of those countries. It also happens to have the world's largest supply of cobalt, which is used in those electric cars everyone thinks is the future of transportation. Some Africans have made millions of dollars using slave labor to supply that cobalt. You won't hear about that at any clean air protest at my job. I spent a lot of time tracking cybercriminals on the dark web. That's actually where I posted Susie's listing. There was a photo of her alongside a detailed description. Age 26. Natural redhead with flawless ivory skin. 5 feet 7 inches and 115 pounds. Green eyes and perky 34C breasts with minimal sag. She's open to all kinds of intimacy and has an insatiable craving for large black bananas. Starting bid, $50,000. I also included a video, one of the more explicit ones I'd recorded recently. I closed the auction when it peaked at $115,000 and then messaged the winning bidder. After a few back-and-forth emails, I offered him a final price of $100,000, with some specific conditions. He accepted. Susie didn't go to work on Monday. I assumed she'd spent the day curled up in bed. But by dinner, the food was on the table when the boys and I came home. Tuesday passed without anything unusual. She went to work, acted normal. Then on Wednesday, just after lunch, I received a text from her saying she and were planning to go out after work. I guess she was feeling like herself again. She walked in just before midnight, hit the shower, then slid into bed. I didn't ask anything. Thursday evening, after tucking the boys in, I called her into my man cave. "Susie," I've been thinking a lot about your lifestyle change. Or rather, our lifestyle. I believe I'm ready to join you in it. Her grin spread from ear to ear, a look that said she thought she had finally won. Thank you. You're going to love it. Really. We'll take things slow at first. I won't rush you into anything you're not ready for. But like Paul, you'll discover how deeply fulfilling it can be. I had to pump the brakes. She was already getting carried away. Actually, I said, I want us to get away for a bit. Somewhere far from anyone we know. Somewhere I can ease into this new life. I told her I'd been planning. Booked us a trip to the Cape Verde Islands, just off the coast of Africa. I painted the fantasy she wanted to hear. Her sunbathing during the day, teasing the local men, us visiting nightclubs where she could dance with whoever she wanted. And when she picked someone to bring back, I'd tell them I was into watching, sitting in the corner or nude in a chair while they had their fun. And afterward, I'd take care of her needs myself. She leapt into my lap, smothering me in kisses, thanking me over and over. She promised she'd never treat me the way and treated Paul. She said she'd always meet my needs, though God knows what that meant coming from her. She was thrilled I had finally embraced my role, and even said and would be ecstatic. Susie mentioned there was another party on Saturday night, but she wouldn't be going. Too much to do before our trip. Shopping, packing, planning for the boys. She even said she didn't want to be sore during the flight. By Tuesday, we were checked into a 4-star hotel in Praia, the capital. The beach was breathtaking, and with plenty of muscular black men working the hotel grounds or strolling the streets, Susie was never bored. She seemed to be in heaven. I suggested we make love before heading to dinner, and she agreed eagerly. She was dripping. After we were done, I took a shower, got dressed, and told her I'd meet her downstairs. She wanted a long soak in the tub before joining me. That was perfect. I had some final business to handle with Mr. Mugabe. He was already seated at the hotel restaurant when I arrived, sipping a drink. He was just as I imagined. In his 40s, towering at 6 feet 4 inches, and built solidly around 240 pounds. His shaved head gleamed under the light. As I approached, he stood and extended his hand. He introduced his 2 men as his personal security detail. His tailored suit looked like something out of a Milan catalog, easily worth $55,000. And his wristwatch? At least $115,000. We sat, and he smiled at me calmly. I wired the money this afternoon, he said, right after I received the photos of you 2 checking in. I told him I had gotten a notification from my bank that they had received the money. He then proposed an idea for how the rest of the evening might unfold. I agreed without hesitation. I was finishing off my drink when Susie appeared at the entrance of the restaurant. She looked stunning, radiant even. Introduce me to your friends, she said with a smile, her eyes already locked on Mr. Mugabe. He stood up immediately and stepped forward to greet her. I'm Winston Mugabe, he said smoothly, lifting her hand. These 2 gentlemen are part of my personal security. He pulled out a chair for her like a true gentleman. Jack mentioned his wife would be joining us for dinner, but he didn't say you'd be the most breathtaking woman on this island. Susie beamed, her eyes not leaving his for a second. Thank you, Mr. Mugabe. Are you here on vacation, like we are? A mix of both business and pleasure, he replied. I arrived on my yacht 2 days ago, finished some dealings this afternoon, and decided to stick around a little longer. Now that I've met you, I'm glad I did. He began to excuse himself, standing as if to leave, but Susie gently placed her hand on his arm. No, don't go. Stay and have dinner with us. I'd love to hear more about Africa, she said, her voice full of curiosity and flirtation. He sat back down and snapped his fingers. 2 waiters rushed over instantly. He ordered something in his native language, then dismissed them with a nod. Susie was mesmerized as he spoke of his tribe, his lineage, how he was next in line for the throne, and how he had studied in the UK before overseeing cobalt mining operations in Africa. Dinner was served, some sort of exotic fish I couldn't name. As we finished eating, music from the hotel club began to echo from across the lobby. Winston invited us to join him there, and he offered his hand to Susie. She accepted with no hesitation, and they disappeared into the club. I followed at a distance. We found a table near the dance floor, and he immediately ordered drinks for everyone. Not long after, he asked Susie to dance. She said yes before he'd finished asking. On the floor, they were inseparable. She clung to him, moved with him, molded herself to his body like she had rehearsed it. I might as well have been part of the furniture. She never glanced in my direction once. 15 minutes later, they returned to the table. Winston excused himself, saying he had to make a quick call, and stepped into the lobby. That's when Susie turned to me, her voice giddy with excitement. "He's perfect, Jack. Educated, wealthy, and hung like a stallion. You're going to love this," she whispered. "When that giant black snake starts stretching me, you better not ruin it by acting weird." She looked me dead in the eye. "When he comes back, I'm inviting him up. I'll tell him you're into watching. So behave. If you mess this up for me, I'll tell him to have his guys rough you up." "Got it. I got it," I said softly, feeling the last shred of our marriage dissolve. This wasn't just emotional betrayal anymore. She had escalated to actual threats of violence. In all the years I had known her, I had never heard Susie speak like this. She was unrecognizable. Winston returned a few minutes later. "Everything okay?" Susie asked him sweetly. "Yes, just a quick matter I had to deal with back home," he replied, sitting again. "Now, how about continuing this party somewhere more private?" "My girl doesn't mince words," he said, glancing at Susie. "But what about your husband?" "He won't interfere. He enjoys watching," she said without blinking. Winston gave me a glance, but he already knew the truth about why Susie was here. "That's fine," he said, "but I prefer our first night be just the two of us. Let's make it something special. I'll extend my stay. We'll have time for all the games you want later. Tonight, though, come to my yacht. Let's enjoy each other properly." Susie didn't look at me, didn't ask if I was okay with it, didn't hesitate. "I'd love that," she purred. Without so much as a goodbye, he took her by the hand and led her out of the club lobby. That was the last time I saw my wife, Susie. After they were gone, I calmly finished my drink, watching the scene unfold on the dance floor. Black men dressed in elegant suits, dancing with white women who looked just like Susie. I didn't regret a thing. The $100,000 would go straight into a college fund for our boys. I returned to the room, gathered all of Susie's belongings, and packed them into her 2 suitcases. Just as I zipped the last one shut, there was a knock on the door, right on time. I was expecting it. One of Mugabe's bodyguards took the suitcases and handed me an envelope before he walked off without saying a word. I stayed the rest of the week relaxing, lounging on the beach during the day, aimlessly browsing the town's little shops, and enjoying the peace and quiet I hadn't felt in years. When it was time for our originally scheduled flight, I returned home. Alone. Once back, I told the boys that their mom had chosen to extend her trip and stay on the islands a bit longer. I was delaying the hard truths, anything to protect them from the pain. 3 days later, and called. I told her straight up. Susie had met a wealthy African man and decided to run away with him. She didn't believe me for a second. She kept screaming through the phone, "What did you do to her?" I ended the call. The next day, she came pounding on my front door and brought a black detective with her. He immediately started asking questions. "Why haven't you filed a missing person report? Where is your wife?" "She's not missing," I told him, handing over evidence. The last time I saw her, she was leaving to spend the night on a yacht with another man. I pulled out a copy of her passport, which clearly showed she had officially exited Cape Verde 3 days before I flew out. Then I handed him something else, an email I had found online showing that Susie had entered the Democratic Republic of the Congo 6 days after leaving Cape Verde. That's where she is now, living it up while I'm home taking care of the bills and raising our kids. He thanked me and turned to leave with Anne, but I couldn't help noticing how his hand stayed on her back the entire walk to his car. Guess he was one of her bulls, too. Maybe she'd thank him in the car on the way back to her place, and then go give Paul a kiss. That could have been me, but I made my move first. Thanks to the documents Mr. Mugabe had supplied, I filed for divorce. It took a little time, but it went through, and I was finally rid of that disloyal woman. And no, I wasn't stuck in some cramped apartment eating dollar store tuna. Revenge is a dish best served cold, as the old saying goes, made famous by Les Liaisons Dangereuses by Pierre Coderlos de Laclos back in 1782. About 5 months later, I was having lunch at a quiet little cafe when Paul, Anne's husband, suddenly sat down across from me without asking. We exchanged a few pleasantries before he leaned in and started venting. Things with and hadn't improved. In fact, they had deteriorated. Badly. She's got me in a banana cage, he whispered, embarrassed. Haven't had an orgasm in over a month. I raised an eyebrow. What? She said I embarrassed her in front of one of her friends, he mumbled. I was just cleaning up after the guy when he got aroused again. He wanted more. I said no. Now I'm stuck like this indefinitely. He sighed. I wish she'd find some loaded dude with a huge banana and leave me for good. Like Susie did with you. Man, you're lucky. Yeah, I said. Real lucky. Paul stood, moving gingerly, and walked off without looking back. But his words stuck with me. And everything started going downhill the moment she entered our lives. She lit the match, and she was going to pay. That night, after the boys were asleep, I began to craft a new plan. Susie was going to email, and, well, not really Susie, but it would certainly look like it. First, I contacted Mr. Mugabe. I asked if he might be interested in a 28-year-old blonde, just as attractive as Susie, maybe even more so. I gave him his backstory. He didn't hesitate. $50,000 up front, he said. If she's truly on par with Susie, I'll add another $25,000 after delivery. Great, I said. I'll let you know when she's ready for pickup. Before ending the call, I asked, how's Susie doing, by the way? It's been 5 months. Just curious. He chuckled. She didn't last long as a wife. Wore my nerves out fast. Now she does 3 stage shows a night in one of my clubs. Performs well. Adapted quicker than most. Seems content. He paused, then added with a laugh. You should come watch her sometime. You'd enjoy the performance. Somehow, I doubted she was enjoying much of anything these days. After disconnecting, I started typing out the forged email from Susie to Ann. Dear Ann, I am sorry it has been so long since I have contacted you. My life is a dream. You would not believe at first. I was accepted into Winston's tribe. You would have loved that ceremony. It was shared by all the members of his royal family. Then the wedding, more sharing Africans love to share. After the ceremony, we took the family's private jet to Paris. It was a dream come true. Shopping along the Champs-Élysées, buying anything and everything I wanted. Now, I'm back in Kinshasa, living in a palace. I do absolutely nothing all day. We have maids, gardeners, and young servant girls who cater to my every whim. Some days I just lounge by the pool while they pamper me like royalty, and one day I will be queen. But I miss you. We had so much fun, you and I. You helped me break free from the dull routine I was stuck in. I owe you more than you know. I think of you often, and I have a proposal. Why not take your next vacation here in Africa? Leave Paul behind with the kids. Come visit me. We'll take Winston's yacht and sail down the coast. I'll ask his brother Montgomery to join us. He's single, and just as impressive as Winston, if you catch my drift. You'd adore him. I might even get you accepted into the tribe. And you know how much I love seeing you with the group. Think about it. Love, Susie. I hit send within an hour and replied, Dear Susie, I'm thrilled to hear from you. Your life sounds like something out of a fantasy novel. I'm genuinely happy for you, and I appreciate you giving me credit for helping you escape that boring suburban routine. As for me, same old. Still going out on Wednesdays, and weekends are as wild as ever. You know how it is. One small change, though, I got Paul in a chastity cage. After Jamal humiliated him at that party, I punished him for embarrassing me. It's been over a month now. He cries and begs like a baby. I love it. As for your invite, I'm seriously tempted. We're going to take the kids to Disney World next month, but maybe Paul can handle that while I visit you. Only problem? Flights. We've been saving for Disney for 2 years. No way we can afford both trips. But Monty sounds delicious. Stay in touch. Anna. I waited 2 days. Didn't want to seem too eager. Then I sent her another reply. Dear Ann, sorry for the delay. We were off visiting Winston's mining operations. We flew by helicopter over the jungle. Africa's beauty is beyond words. We stayed at another one of our homes, a massive estate with all the luxuries you can imagine, staffed with young male and female servants who live to please. Don't stress about the money. Just send me your arrival and departure dates, and I'll make it all happen. Bring bikinis. Love, Susie. She replied within the hour. Gave me the exact dates. By the end of the day, I had booked her round-trip ticket to Kinshasa, but she'd only need the outbound portion and wasn't coming back. Mr. Mugabe was impressed with her, said she'd do just fine. As promised, he wired the remaining $25,000 to me. The day before and was supposed to fly home, I logged into her email account and sent Paul a message. Ifeye Mitshimwon. I'm staying in Africa. And simple. Final. 2 weeks later, I was eating lunch when Paul appeared again. Same cafe, same approach. He sat without asking and said, I just wanted to thank you. For what? I asked, playing dumb. I don't know how you pulled it off, but my lawyer said I should have no issues divorcing that woman. What happened? I asked casually. Nope, he said, standing. Not doing this with you again. Just thanks. He walked off, this time without a limp. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't loud or violent. It's quiet, strategic, and irreversible. There are always options, and that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.